Okay, today moving on to the next section, we'll look at characteristics of living organisms. So here again, kind of a review of biology. Fundamental characteristics of life are traits shared by all living organisms. Movement, change in position, especially when we're looking at humans, change in position of the body, body part, your organs, your stomach actually has movements that it does. Responsiveness will be very important. We'll talk about different type of like positive feedback, negative feedback. Basically, your body works based on its reactions to things that happen to it. If I eat too much salty food, my body is going to respond. If I'm out in the sun too much, my body's going to respond. If I don't drink enough water, my body's going to respond. So this is very key in the functioning of your body. Growth, increase in size without a different change in shape. So your stomach will grow, your body grows as you get older, you still have a typical body shape. Reproduction of new organisms, or simple reproduction of new cells in an organ. Respiration, we're going to take in oxygen, we're going to use the oxygen, we're going to get rid of carbon dioxide. Digestion, when you eat your meals, that food gets broken down into simpler forms that your body can actually use. Your body cannot use a big chunk of steak. It has to be broken down into something simpler. So absorption is when your body absorbs something. Usually it's going to go across a cell membrane. Circulation, such as your blood. Circulate means to move, and it's usually moved within a fluid. Assimilation, that might be a new word. Assimilation is changing nutrients into chemically different forms. So this would go back to when you break down your food, and then it's going to be changed. It might be stored. It might become a waste. So instead of a big chunk of steak, I now have protein. I have some sugars out of my steak. It's going to be different forms. And then excretion is how we get rid of our waste. So breathing, urinating, sweating, all of those would be examples of excretion or getting rid of waste. So when I look at all these things together, they constitute metabolism. Typically when I say metabolism, people think of, being thin or being overweight. That person has high metabolism because they can eat all the time and they never gain weight. Well, metabolism is the work of all this. So because my body has to grow, I have to produce new cells, I have to breathe, I have to move, my blood circulates, all of this requires energy. And that metabolism is the physical and chemical events that take in energy, release energy, use energy. So typically younger people do have a higher metabolism. They are still growing. They are changing, growth and development. They're probably more active. So the more work these 10 things do, the higher your metabolism will be. And last section that we'll do for today, maintenance of life. So life depends on water. Water is huge. Most people in the United States are slightly dehydrated. People do not drink enough water. Water is very important because it is the most important chemical or most abundant chemical in your body. It carries things. It's required for metabolic processes. A lot of diet, if someone goes on a diet, a lot of times they require you to drink a lot of water because water helps things move. It helps your body be more efficient. It provides the environment, so it provides the fluid for these processes. It carries things, so water is part part of your bloodstream. It's going to carry food. It's going to carry oxygen. Regulates your body temperature. Very important for that. And then it also helps to make up a lot of intracellular inside of your cell and extracellular outside of your cell. So the fluids that you have in your body, pretty much every fluid in your body contains some percentage of water. So if I look at this, here I have a blood vessel. So this would be like an artery or a vein. It has my red blood cells in it. It has other cells that are in it and outside of it. Plasma is the fluid that carries it, and that contains a lot of water. Tissue fluid outside of your blood vessels have a lot of water in it. So water is an extremely important requirement of a living organism. Another thing, food. We are not plants. We cannot make our own food, so somehow we have to take in food, and it provides the body with needed nutrients. If you did not eat for many, many days, you would become very sluggish. Your metabolism slows down. Your body slows itself down. So food is needed for energy. It's also needed to build new things. So when you need those new cells, protein, muscle, food is needed to build those raw materials. And also it helps to regulate certain chemical reactions. Oxygen, when we think of oxygen, we think, oh, we need oxygen to breathe. Well, that's true. However, what actually happens when you take in oxygen, I don't know if you remember in biology, but they talk about the electron transport chain, providing energy, releasing energy. Oxygen is needed in your body for chemical reactions to happen that release energy. So very important. Heat, your body needs heat, and that heat is produced from all of those metabolic reactions. Heat is going to control reaction rates. A lot of times a higher temperature will have faster reactions. And temperature itself is a measure of heat. So if I look at a human, average body temperature is 98.6. So that is the optimum temperature for the human body. That is an average. Yours might be 98.2. Quite honestly, mine a lot of the times is like 97.8 or something like that. My husband says it's because I'm cold-hearted, but I don't think that's right. Pressure. Pressure is a force. So in your body, things need to push out and things push back. So in order for my body to have shape, you know, my stomach has to have a force that keeps it in the shape that it needs. My lungs need pressure. So pressure is a force applied to something. Atmospheric pressure, or the pressure of the air around you, is very important for breathing. It's going to, basically, it regulates your lungs and how they work. Hydrostatic pressure comes from water. So hydro means water. So this pressure from water is very important for moving blood inside of your blood vessels. It's also very important for shape of blood vessels. So the amount of water in your red blood cells will dictate how full they are and the shape of them. Both the quality and quantity of those factors are all important. So if I'm looking at water, the first one that we talked about, the quality, obviously you don't want to drink salt water. That's not going to help your body. And the quantity, how much I drink. So both quality and quantity of all of those factors are important. Homeostasis, you should know this term. And I remember it as stays at home. Homeostasis means stable. I want to keep things staying stable inside my body. I don't want kind of like diabetics. I don't want a huge increase in my blood sugar level. I don't want a huge decrease I want things to stay pretty stable and even. So homeostasis is regulated through, you'll have a receptor, a set point, and then effectors. So a receptor is something, their job is to monitor for changes or pick up changes. The set point is the normal. So if we're looking at temperature, the set point is around 98.6. The receptors for my body temperature are mostly found in my skin. And then the effectors are the muscles or glands that respond. And we'll go over a couple of examples with homeostasis.